So as most of you know, there's a campaign to raise funds for 2 helicopters to replace the missing Yellow Bee that was just over a year ago in the Philippines. And as many of you know, the first helicopter, the R-66, is over in the Philippines already and working, and we're super excited and blessed and privileged to have been part of that. Secondly, though, so now the fundraising campaign was for 2 helicopters. So we started looking for the second one, and when you look for aircraft in today's market, you really can look anywhere. Really, it's a kind of a global market. And so we actually discovered a Bell 206 L1 Long Ranger. So it's a little bit larger helicopter down in St. Kitts in the Caribbean, and what we were looking for was 2 kind of things we were looking for that this helicopter had. One was the emergency floats for flying over water. So if you have an emergency over water and you ditch in the sea or in a lake or whatever, these floats, you pull a lever and they pop out and inflate and keep the helicopter floating in the water. Secondly was a way to carry patients laying down. And the Long Ranger has a unique kit, or this particular one has this kit that allows you to open the door, fold down the front seat, and lay a passenger on a stretcher in the aircraft and secure them, along with still leaving room to carry a nurse and even some family members. There's enough seats depending on how far you're flying. So we were looking for those 2 things in particular, and this helicopter is equipped with both of them. So we took delivery of it. I went down to St. Kitts here a few weeks ago, took delivery on the island there, and the journey back is, of course, it was quite an experience flying through the islands. I've been down in there before, but it's always it's so beautiful flying over those islands and the blue water and just that scenery. But significantly, though, was the pilot that was flying the helicopter for us. He actually was the corporate pilot that flew the helicopter there where we bought it from. His name is Chris, and unfortunately when we bought the helicopter, that was the end of his job, so this was kind of his last flight. He'd be going on to something else. But what's interesting about missions is that we work really hard to our focus is on the people groups that missions is going to serve, the people in the mountains in the Philippines or in out on the rivers in Peru, wherever it is, and that's always kind of the target or the end game, is to serve those people and share Jesus with them. But what I've always found is that there's a journey along the way where you meet people, those divine appointments, and that's, I find, very much a part of the missions journey as those people that you're trying to serve at the end. And this was another example of that. The time that I was able to spend with Chris, and this time spent with Chris was a real privilege. Chris is a man of faith. He has had a long career in aviation, flying in different places around the world. He's from Jamaica, flew in the Air Force there, and just the experiences that we're able to share. And Chris had so many stories about how his life had been spared in circumstances where really there was no chance of survival. He told me about one where he had flown under, he had spotted some wires at the very last second and ducked under them and came out the other side in a helicopter. He actually turned around because he couldn't believe that he'd survived, and he went back to look, and he said there wasn't space for the helicopter to fit between the tops of the trees and the wires, and yet he hovered there and looked at that and absorbed the moment, how God had saved him in that situation where it was impossible. And as he looked at it, he couldn't see how that was even possible, even if he was to try and maneuver and do it after the fact. So, just so many stories like that. And the time we were able to spend together and share our faith together was a rare privilege. And I consider that a divine appointment. And I wish Chris the best as he continues his journey. And it was a real honor to spend that time together. And we're looking forward to getting this helicopter out and in service with those special equipment that makes it perfectly suitable for mission service.